Hello, good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about pneumococcal pneumonia and Bordetella, responsible for causing lower respiratory tract infections. Learning objective for today's session. At the end of this session, students will be able to understand agents causing lower respiratory tract infections classified under lower respiratory tract, examples of bacterial agents causing lower and interstitial pneumonia, virulence factor, clinical manifestations, risk factors, laboratory diagnosis, treatment, and vaccines of pneumococcal pneumonia. Virulence factors, pathogenesis, clinical manifestations, complications, lab diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of Bordetella pertussis, responsible for causing whooping cough. So to start with, lower respiratory tract infection, first we have to understand respiratory tract is divided into two segments, upper and lower respiratory tract. Upper respiratory tract consists has comprises this nasal cavity, paranasal sinuses, pharynx, epiglottis, larynx, and the purpose of this URT is to take in warm and moist air, and this is the most commonest site of infections. Another is the lower respiratory tract, which consists trachea, bronchi. Bronchi are divided into bronchioles and lungs, both surrounding pleura. Purpose of this is ventilation and gas exchange. Okay, so you'll understand the respiratory system. Our respiratory system. So here you can see the diagram. The air enters the body through mouth and nose and quickly moves to the pharynx or throat. From there it passes through the larynx or voice box and enters the trachea. Trachea is the strong tube that contains rings of cartilage that prevent it from collapsing. Within the lungs, the trachea branches into a left and right bronchus. So you can see here this trachea. It has two branches, the right bronchus and left bronchus. These further divide into smaller and smaller branches called as bronchioles. So you can see here, this are further divided into smaller and smaller branches which are known as bronchioles. The smallest bronchioles end in tiny air sacs. You can see here, these are the tiny air sacs. These are called as alveoli. They inflate when the person inhales and deflate when the person exhales. During gas exchange, here you can see here a gas exchange. During gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. You can see here. And at the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the lungs. You can see here. Okay. This happens in the lungs between alveoli and a network of tiny blood vessels called as capillaries, which are located in the wall of alveoli. So these capillaries, you can see here, these capillaries, these are located in the wall of alveoli. And here, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream and goes to the heart. And here, the carbon dioxide, it passes from the blood to the lungs. Here you see the RBCs traveling through capillaries. The wall of alveoli share a membrane with the capillaries. That is how close they are. This lets the oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse or move freely between the respiratory system and the bloodstream. Oxygen molecule attached to RBCs which travel back to heart At the same time, the carbon dioxide molecules in the alveoli are blown out of the body the next time a person exhales. Gas exchange allows body to replenish the oxygen and eliminate the carbon dioxide. Doing both is necessary for survival. So you understood our respiratory system here. Defense mechanism of respiratory tract: nasal cavity, secretory products, tracheobronchial tree, mucociliary clearance, normal flora of upper respiratory tract, alveolar macrophyllus. So here we know nasal cavity has the hairs, convoluted passage, and nasal turbinates. These are helping as a defense mechanism of respiratory system. At the same time, secretory IgA and non-specific antibacterial substances, they are also helpful in defending the respiratory pathogens. Entry, tracheobronchial tree, and their branching architecture is the most important one. So next slide shows which are the commonest respiratory tract commensals like streptococci, both alpha and non-hemolytic, Neisseria, other than gonorrhea and meningitis, diphtheroids, Moraxella cathralis, coagulase negative staphylococci, anaerobes such as Protella, Peptostreptococcus, and Fusobacteria. Major pathogens of other body sites that can colonize nasopharynx less frequently includes Haemophilus, Meningococcus, Pneumococcus, and Staphylococcus aureus. In hospitalized patients on the ventilator, organisms which are present in hospital environment, which we generally known as nosocomial pathogen, mostly these are the gram-negative bacilli, rods, that includes Acinetobacter, Pseudomonas, Burkholderia, most of the Enterobacteriaceae like E. coli, Klebsiella, Proteus, they can colonize upper respiratory tract. That also includes yeast such as Candida albicans. Lower respiratory tract infections, this consists of a set of diseases ranging from bronchitis to pneumonia. So bronchitis can be caused by bacteria, viruses, and mechanical irritant. Whooping cough is or pertussis caused because of body tailor pertussis. Pneumonia such as lobar pneumonia, the causative agents are Pneumococcus pneumoniae, H. influenzae, Staphylococcus aureus, Klebsiella pneumoniae, and other gram-negative bacilli. Atypical pneumonia, which is caused because of Mycoplasma, Chlamydia, and respiratory tract viruses. Pulmonary tuberculosis, etiological agent is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Rare causes of lower respiratory tract infections such as fungal pneumonia caused because of Pneumocystis zeroichi and other fungi, parasitic lung diseases, Paragonymous, Ascaris, and other parasites, lung abscesses, primarily caused because of anaerobes and secondarily infected by gram-negative bacilli, pleural effusion, and empyema, which are bacterial infections caused because of bacteria and tubular or viral infections. Low respiratory tract infections, the clinical presentation of LRTI include in acute infection, patient complaints of fever, chills, back pain, myalgias, arthralgias, headache, malaise, nausea, vomiting. Chest infections, the complications are cough, chest pain, pills, wheezing, noisy chest, and that increases respiratory distress and may require mechanical ventilation. So bronchitis is an inflammation of bronchial tubes, the airways that carry the air to the lungs. The symptoms include coughing up, sputum, wheezing, shortness of breath, chest pain. So here in the diagram you can see here the normal bronchial tube where bronchial wall is clear and it is lined with a thin layer of mucus here. But when it is bronchitis, then you can see the bronchial tube with increased amount of mucus, inflamed bronchial tube wall. So this shows the presence of infection and inflammation responsible for causing bronchitis. So bronchitis can be acute or chronic bronchitis. Acute, that is recent onset, and it is an inflammation of lower respiratory passage, bronchi. Chronic bronchitis can be defined as a cough that occurs every day with sputum production that lasts for at least 3 months for 2 years in a row. So as we are talking about pneumococcus and bordetella, so we are going to list bacterial causes, etiological agents, which includes Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Streptococcus pneumoniae, Haemophilus influenzae, Moraxella catarrhalis, Bordetella pertussis. These are the most commonly involved bacterial pathogens responsible for causing bronchitis. Risk factor for developing bronchitis: smokers, people, those who are exposed to a lot of secondhand smoke, people with weak immunity, elders and infants, elderly people, aged one because of low immunity, and infants again because of low immunity. Both are at risk of developing such kind of infection. People with gastroesophageal reflux disease (GERD), those with with work related to chemical irritants, exposure to these irritants, they can develop it. So this diagram can show you signs and symptoms of bronchitis. Generally includes fever below 101 Fahrenheit, fatigue, headache, nasal congestion, sore throat, cough with yellow to green mucus, body ache, sore ribs and stomach, wheezing and shortness of breath. So this includes all these typical signs and symptoms, and according to that assessment and diagnostic findings, you have to take patient history, you have to physically examine the patient for all the signs and symptoms for the particular noisy chest, wheezing sounds. You have to ask the patient to perform pulmonary function test, spirometry, where we can see how fast and how much air patient can breathe out, peak flow meter, which can measure the amount of air blown out of lungs, pulse oximeter, and X-ray findings will help in diagnosing a particular complication. So acute bronchitis treatment does not include antibiotics, as not antibiotics are not effective and are not indicated except if the etiological agent is bacteria and it is suspected bacterial bronchitis, for example, Bordetella pertussis. Symptomatic treatment: inhalation of bronchodilators. Chronic bronchitis, where the antibiotic therapy recommended only if presented with acute bacterial exacerbations. Amoxicillin or azithromycin in mild cases. In severe disease, levofloxacin, cefepime or piperacillin tazobactam. Bronchiolitis, which is an inflammation of bronchioles. Agents which can cause bronchiolitis includes respiratory syncytial viruses, most important etiological agent. Others can be influenza virus, human metapneumovirus, parainfluenza viruses, adenoviruses, rhinoviruses, and coronavirus. Manifestations: respiratory distress with expiratory wheeze, tachypnea, nasal flaring, retractions, and irritability. Treatment includes symptomatic management, hydration, oxygen supplementation, suctioning to clear the airway, antibiotics not used for bronchiolitis unless there is a clear evidence of secondary bacterial infection. Next complication is pneumonia, which is an inflammation of lungs caused by bacteria, viruses, or chemical irritants. An inflammatory condition of the lung, primarily affecting the small air sacs known as alveoli. Symptoms typically include some combination of productive or dry cough, chest pain, fever, difficulty in breathing. So here, the main symptoms of infectious pneumonia include high fever, chills, headache, loss of appetite, mood swings, low blood pressure, high heart rate, cough with sputum, balloon, shortness of breath, pleuritic chest pain, hemoptysis, muscular fatigue, ache, joint pain, nausea, and vomiting. So, here in the diagram, you can see the picture of lobar pneumonia, responsible generally caused because of Streptococcus pneumonia. Here in this diagram, normal alveoli, where the bronchiole, which are tiny airways, here is the particular air space, and the air alveoli filled with the air. Alveoli with pneumonia, they become inflamed. The wall become inflamed. Here you can see the difference between the inflamed wall and the normal one, and they are filled with the fluid and pus in the air space. They do contain bacteria in the blood cells. So this is the difference between bronchitis and pneumonia. Bronchitis signs and symptoms includes fever, chills, severe coughing, clear, white, yellow to green mucus, sore throat, wheezing, trouble in breathing, tightness in the chest, feeling fullness. Pneumonia fever is high grade, fatigue, low energy, confusion, chills, severe coughing, yellow, green, or bloody mucus, sore throat, shortness of breathing, rapid breathing, chest pain, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, and muscular pain or body ache. So, pneumonia is an infection of pulmonary parenchyma, classified into community acquired, where the patient acquires infection from the community, hospital acquired, where the patient acquires the infection from healthcare facility. So, agents of community acquired and healthcare associated pneumonia listed here. Generally, community acquired pneumonia is called as CAP and healthcare associated pneumonia is called as HAP. So, bacterial pneumonia was etiological agents are Streptococcus pneumoniae, Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Haemophilus influenzae, Chlamydophila pneumonia, viral pneumonia that includes influenza, coronavirus, including COVID-19, SARS-CoV-19, respiratory syncytial viruses, parainfluenza, adenoviruses, and healthcare-associated pneumonia includes multi-drug resistance (MDR) pathogens found in hospital environments, Pseudomonas, Acinetobacter, E. coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So, CAP, community-acquired pneumonia, Streptococcus pneumoniae, followed by Mycoplasma pneumonia are the most common agents of CAP. Others include Haemophilus influenzae, Chlamydophila pneumoniae, and viral pneumonia. Pathogenesis depends upon two factors: microbial pathogens that gain access to the lungs, and second one, mostly the host response towards this pathogen. So microbial pathogen which can gain access to the lungs, microorganism gaining access to the lower respiratory tract through several ways. First is by aspiration from the oropharynx, which is the most commonest one. Second, they can be inhaled through infected droplets, or they can be entered through hematogenous spread. Second is microorganism escape the defense mechanism of the host respiratory tract. Host immune response: once microorganisms reach the lungs, they get engulfed by the resident alveolar macrophages. Inside the macrophages, they either get killed or eliminated by mucociliary escalator through the lymphatics, and then Clinical pneumonia is and worst. Hospitalized patient which acquire hospital-acquired pneumonia, increased risk of developing pneumonia attributed to the presence of ventilator. Normal respiratory flora of hospitalized patient is generally replaced by the MDR GNVs, which are usually present in the hospital environment. For example, Pseudomonas, Acinetobacter, etc. So clinical manifestations of pneumonia: lobar, typical pneumonia; interstitial or atypical pneumonia; chlamydia pneumonia, mycoplasma pneumonia, viral and fungal agents causing pneumonia, and Legionella species are responsible for interstitial or atypical pneumonia. Lobar or typical pneumonia. This is the infection of lung parenchyma and its alveoli, characterized by consolidations, gives a dull note on percussion and productive cough with pleural sputum, and this condition is caused by pneumococcus, most common agent, Haemophilus influenzae, Staphylococcus aureus, and Klebsiella pneumoniae. Interstitial or atypical pneumonia occurs in interstitial space of lung. Cough is characteristically non-productive, mostly caused by bacteria such as Chlamydophila pneumoniae, Mycoplasma pneumoniae. Viral and fungal agents do cause this type of pneumonia, and Legionella species. So here we can see the CT scan depistating lobar pneumonia with consolidations both lower lobes. You can see here and here. Clinical features that includes fever, chills, sweats, tachycardia, increased respiratory rate, tachypnea, dyspnea, pleuritic chest pain. Gastrointestinal symptoms include nausea, vomiting, and/or diarrhea sometimes. Other symptoms that can be fatigue, headache, myalgia, arthralgia. Severely in patients, they can show septic shock or multi-organ failure. Treatment of community-acquired pneumonia, empiric regimen differ for inpatients and outpatients. Hospitalization in community-acquired pneumonia determines, and this is based on CRUB 65 scoring system, prognosis of CAP, predicted by scoring system of CRUB 65. CRUB 65 score is more than one, prognosis is poor and requires hospitalization. So CAP hospitalizes patient if score is CRUB 65 score is more than one. IV ceftriaxone plus azithromycin or IV levofloxacin, not recommended for severe CAP. Add vancomycin if community acquired methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus is suspected. Add piperacillin tazobactam if the causative agent is Pseudomonas suspected. In case of outpatients, if no comorbidity present, oral amoxicillin or doxycycline is given. If comorbidity is present, for example, chronic heart or lung or alveolar or renal disease, diabetes, alcohol use disorder, neoplastic diseases, so you can prescribe oral amoxicillin with clavunet plus azithromycin or oral levofloxacin. The treatment can be given 5 to 7 days, guided by critical clinical stability such as afebrile more than 48 hours, normalization of vital signs. So here we start with pneumococcal pneumonia. We are going to talk about the organism now. Streptococcus pneumoniae, which is commonly referred as pneumococcus, is the leading cause of lobar pneumonia, otitis media in children, and meningitis in all ages. They are alpha hemolytic, present as a common cell in human upper respiratory tract. So here you can see the difference between Streptococcus pneumoniae and Viridans streptococci. Morphological arrangement of Streptococcus pneumoniae. They are morphologically gram-positive. Viridae streptococci are also gram-positive. In arrangement, pneumoniae are cocci which are present in pairs. Viridae streptococci, these are long chains. Morphologically, Pneumococcus pneumoniae, these are lanceolate shape, while Viridae, they are round or oval shape. Capsule is present in Streptococcus pneumoniae, absent in Viridae streptococci. On blood agar, Streptococcus pneumoniae, they can form Trotsman or Karam-Cohen colony, while Viridae streptococci, they can form minute colonies. While solubility test is Streptococcus pneumoniae is positive, while Viridae streptococci, they are negative. That means by these Streptococcus pneumoniae, they get solubilized in bile, while Viridae, they are insoluble. Inulin fermentation is positive for Streptococcus pneumoniae, negative for Viridae group of Streptococci. Optochin sensitivity test is positive for pneumonia resistant for Viridae group of Streptococci. So virulence factors and pathogenesis. Streptococcus pneumoniae possesses a number of virulence factors that includes capsular polysaccharide, which is the principal virulence factor, protects the cocci from phagocytosis. Typing of pneumococci is based on capsular polysaccharide structure. Till date, there are 98 serotypes reported. C carbohydrate antigen or C polysaccharide antigen. This is antigen precipitates with an acute phase reactant protein called as C-reactive protein. CRP is not an antibody to pneumococcal C antigen. It is a marker of acute inflammation raised in many acute inflammatory conditions. Pneumolysine, it's a membrane damaging toxin which inhibits neutrophil chemotaxis and phagocytosis. Autolysine, it is an amidase enzyme that cleaves its own peptidoglycan, causes autolysis of cell, responsible for bile solubility and Trotsman appearance, colonies. This can also release cell wall fragments, leading to a self-reperpetuating inflammatory response that contributes to the pathogenesis. Other virulence factors, that includes pneumococcal surface protein, PSPA, PSPC, secretory IgA protease, neuraminidase, and pneumococcal surface adhesion, PSA, capital A. So clinical manifestations of pneumococci first get colonized the human nasopharynx, which usually occurs at an early age. From the nasopharynx, the bacteria spread either via bloodstream or to the distant sites, for example, brain, joint, bones, and peritoneal cavities, or they can spread locally to cause otitis media or pneumonia. Various manifestations include global pneumonia, empyema, and parapneumonic effusion, invasive pneumococcal disease, non-invasive manifestations. So lobar pneumonia, Streptococcus pneumoniae is the most commonest cause of lobar pneumonia, alveolar pneumonia, although starts as non-invasive illness due to contagious spread from nasopharynx. It soon becomes bacteremic and invasive. Patient present with productive purulent cough, fever, and chest pain. Important signs are dullness on percussion due to consolidation and crackles on auscultation. Empyema and parapneumonic effusion may occur as complication of pneumococcal pneumonia, invasive pneumococcal disease (IPD), defined as infection confirmed by isolation of pneumococci from a normally sterile site. Various examples include bloodstream infection, pyogenic meningitis, to which Streptococcus pneumoniae is the leading cause of meningitis in all ages. Other invasive manifestations, Streptococcus pneumoniae can cause osteomyelitis, septic arthritis, endocarditis, pericarditis, primary peritonitis, rarely brain abscess, and hemolytic uremic syndrome. Non-invasive manifestations that includes pneumococci can cause various non-invasive infections such as otitis media, most common one, and sinusitis. Epidemiology source is the upper respiratory tract of carriers, less often the patients. Carrier rate up to the age of 5 years, 70 to 90% of children they carry this pathogen in nasopharynx. In adults, the colonization occurs less frequently, nearly 40%. Mode of transmission is transmitted through inhalation of droplet nuclei. Infection usually leads to colonization and carrier state. Disease resists only when host resistance is lowered, presence of associated risk factors. So risk factors, children less than 2 years are at higher risk to develop pneumococcal infection because of their inability to produce adequate antibodies against the capsular antigen owing to the immature immune system. Splenectomy, sickle cell disease, and other hemoglobinopathies. Here, as spleen is the site of destruction of capsulated bacteria, the conditions where opsonization and clearance of circulating bacteria by spleen is hampered, there is an increased risk of pneumococcal infection. Underlying comorbid diseases such as chronic lung, heart, kidney, and liver diseases, diabetes mellitus, immunosuppression, viral upper respiratory tract infections, nature of infecting serotypes. Mostly 6 and 19F are reported universally as a major serotypes. In India, serotype 1, 6, 19A, and 19F are the commonest one. Age group of children, 7 serotypes are there: 1, 5, 6A, 6B, 14, 19F, and 23 account for nearly 60% of the IPD, invasive pneumococcal disease cases in most part of the world. In contrast, the serotype causing IPD vary widely among the adults, which may be attributed to the wide variation in vaccination status in adults. Laboratory diagnosis, specimen collection. Depending on the site of infection, specimens such as sputum, cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, pleural fluid, and other sterile body fluid are collected. Automated blood cultures is useful for invasive infection. Other specimens include aspiration of sinus material and ear discharge aspirates. Direct microscopy, direct smear microscopy has made it easy to reveal the pathogen. We can see numerous pus cells and lanceolate or flame-shaped gram-positive cocci, generally 1 micrometer in diameter. They are present in pairs, surrounded by clear hollow due to the capsule. Direct microscopy is extremely useful, especially in patients with meningitis. As an empirical treatment, antibiotic can be started early after ground stain. Antigen detection, capsular antigen detection in CSF is more sensitive than microscopy. done by using latex agglutination test, using latex beads coated with anticapsular antibodies. C antigen, detection of C polysaccharide antigen in urine by immunochromatographic test ICT, which is useful in diagnosis of pneumonia. However, it gives positive result when nasopharyngeal carriers are there. Therefore, it is not useful in children where the carrier rate is high, and immunochromatographic test is also available for antigen detection from CSF in meningitis cases. Culture pneumonia is fastidious, does not grow on basal media like nutrient agar or nutrient broth. Specimens are inoculated on enriched medium such as blood agar, chocolate agar, incubated at 24 degrees Celsius, 24 hours for 37 degrees Celsius in presence of 5 to 10% of carbon dioxide. Here you can see the blood agar. Colonization is small, dome-shaped, surrounded by green zone of alpha hemolysis. Here you can see small dome shape, and they are surrounded by greenish discoloration, which is called as alpha hemolysis. Colonies on prolonged incubation undergo autolysis and therefore have a central depression with an elevated rim, giving a rise to Grossman. Grossman shaped or carom coin shaped appearance. On chocolate agar, they produce greenish discoloration. Culture smear shows gram stain done on culture colonies that can show lanceolate or flame-shaped gram-positive cocci with 1 micrometer diameter, and they are usually in pair. Motility testing by hanging drop shows on-motile cocci. So, identification can be done by using biochemical test that includes bile solubility, octochin sensitivity, inhaled fermentation, automated methods are there, bile solubility. So here you can see, yeah, okay. Bile solubility test. Pneumococci are soluble in bile. Bile is sodium deoxycoded due to their enhanced autolytic activity in presence of bile. Viridae streptococci, they don't show solubility in bile, so they are insoluble, and Streptococcus pneumoniae or Pneumococcus pneumoniae, they are soluble. Optochin sensitivity, here you can see in the diagram. Optochin sensitivity, pneumococci are sensitive to optochin disc and are produced wide zone of clearance around the disc or wide zone of inhibition, that is near about 14 millimeter or more. Viridae streptococci are resistant to optochin. Inulin fermentation. Pneumococci can ferment inulin to form acid but not Viridae group of streptococci. Automated methods such as Marley-Toff and Whitake can also be used for early and accurate identification. This is very useful in early institution of pathogen directed therapy. Molecular methods such as PCR are highly sensitive, more useful when organism load is scanty. For example, CSF specimen is there, detects earlier than culture and also help in serotyping and identification. Real-time PCR is more sensitive, specific, takes less time and quantitative. Multiplex PCR or multiplex real-time PCR can be used for simultaneous detection of common agents of lobar pneumonia from sputum or bronchoalveolar lavage. Common genes which are targeted that can include LYTA, autolysine gene, PLY, pneumolysine, and PSA-A, pneumococcus surface antigen A genes. Non-specific findings: elevated acute phase reactant proteins such as CRP, procalcitonin, leukocytosis, chest X-ray shows infiltrates and lobar consolidations. In children, distinctly spherical consolidations are seen in upper part of lower lobe called as round pneumonia. Antimicrobial susceptibility testing AST is necessary for institution of appropriate antibiotic treatment. It can be performed by using disc diffusion test on molar Hinton agar or by automated minimum inhibitory concentration detection method by microbroth dilution using Vitek. The latter is preferred method as disc diffusion breakpoints of several antibiotics. For example, penicillin, ceftriaxone are not available for pneumococcus. Drug resistance pneumococci. Sorry. Treatment: pneumonia, oral therapy with amoxicillin for 5 days, which is the standard treatment. Alternative drugs can be IV penicillin or ceftriaxone, oral quinolone, such as levofloxacin, moxifloxacin, clindamycin, and azithromycin. In cases of meningitis, as mortality is high, treatment can be initiated as early as possible. Ceftriaxone, cefotaxime, plus minus vancomycin for 10 to 14 days. Other invasive infections for stable children, treatment can be given with penicillin, cefotaxime, or ceftriaxone. In critically ill cases, same treatment as that of meningitis, that is ceftriaxone, cefotaxime plus minus vancomycin for 14 days. Otitis media, oral amoxicillin for 7 to 10 days. Drug resistance pneumococcus. In about 30% of IPD, pneumococcus shows resistance to at least one antibiotic or more. Penicillin resistance in pneumococci has been reported increasingly nowadays. This resistance is due to alteration of penicillin binding protein PBP to PBP to B. This altered PBP to V has low affinity for beta-lactam drugs. The gene coding for altered penicillin binding protein is acquired by transformation and horizontal transfer of DNA from related streptococcal species. Multi-drug resistance pneumococci, non-susceptible to more than or equal to 3 antibiotic classes, is increasingly reported. Resistant to penicillin, tetracycline, erythromycin, sulfonamides, and clindamycin have been shown to coexist. Serotype 19A is the most common serotype to exhibit multi-drug resistant status. Some serotypes can undergo capsule switching, change from one serotype to another, which may contribute to development of antibiotic resistance. Prevention and vaccination. Measures to prevent pneumococcal disease include vaccination, treatment of underlying diseases that increase the risk of pneumococcal diseases, infection control measures, droplet precautions, and prevention of antibiotic overuse. So this table explains pneumococcal vaccines: PPSV23, PCV13. Name of PPSV23 is 23 valent pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine. PCV13 is pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. Brand name is Pneumovax 23 and Prevnar 13. Serotypes included contains all 23 serotypes of Streptococcus pneumoniae 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6b, 7f, 8, and 9n, 9v, 10a, 11a, 12f, 14, 15b, 17f, 18c, 19a, 19f, 20, 22f, 23f, and 33f. While in case of PCV13, that contains 13 serotypes of Streptococcus pneumoniae 1, 3, 4, 5, 6A, 6B, 7F, 9B, 14, 18C, 19A, 19F, and 23, conjugated with diphtheria toxin. Coverage, it covers 70 to 80% of invasive serotypes in adults, while PCV13 covers only 30 to 40% of invasive serotypes in adults. However, it covers most of the serotypes infecting children. Immunogenicity, less immunogenic, PPSV23, PCV13 is more immunogenic, as capsular antigen, being T cell independent antigen, is less immunogenic to children, hence PPSV23 is less immunogenic. PCV13 is more immunogenic because the protein conjugate acts as an adjuvant and increases the immunogenicity of capsular antigen. Hence, PCV is effective against children less than 2 years age. Duration, it can provide short-term immunity, PPSV23, for 3 to 5 years. PCV13 provides longer immunity. Herd immunity in PPSV23 promotes herd immunity. PCV13 does not promote herd immunity. Effect on carriers, PPSV23 here does not provide mucosal immunity, hence no effect on carriers. In PCV13, it provides the mucosal immunity, hence it can eradicate carriage from nasopharynx. Cost, PPSV23 less expensive, PCV13 is more expensive. PPSV23 indication, it has been given in adults more than or equal to 65, adults 19 to 64 years age with underlying risk factors. PCV13 indication in adult are same as PPSV23. Children, as primary immunization, PCV13 can be given. Pertussis. So it is highly fastidious, gram-negative cocobacilli. Bordetella pertussis is a gram-negative cocobacilli described by Baudet and Kenny in 1906. These are non-fermenter, belongs to the family Alkaligenaceae. It comprises of several species. Pertussis causes whooping cough in children, highly contagious, vaccine preventable bacterial disease, characterized by proximal cough ending in a high pitched inspiratory sound described as whoop. Bordetella pertussis causes milder, Bordetella parapertussis causes milder form of whooping cough. Bordetella bronchoseptica causes nail cough in dogs, atropic rhinitis, and pneumonia in pigs, and pneumonia in cats. So, Bordetella pertussis responsible for causing whooping cough or pertussis, which is a violent proximal productive cough in children, or also causes 100 days fever. Virulence factors. Bordetella pertussis produces a wide array of toxin and biologically active products that are important in its pathogenesis and immunity. Most of these virulence factors are under the control of single genetic locus that regulates their production. Tracheal toxin, tracheal cytotoxin is a part of cell wall peptidoglycan which cause damage to the cilia of respiratory epithelial cells. Pertussis toxin, important one, virulence factor, and expressed only by pertussis. PT is similar to cholera toxin in its structure and mechanism. It causes activation of adenyl cyclase, leading to increased concentration of cyclic AMP, which is responsible for producing a variety of biological effects seen in whooping cough. Adhesins, bacterial attachment, they play a role in bacterial attachment. Example include filamentous hemagglutinin, protecting an outer membrane protein, Fimbria pili, or agglutinogens. Other virulence factor includes adenyl cyclase toxin, dermonecrotic toxin, and bacterial endotoxin. Pathogenesis: pertussis is primarily a toxin-mediated disease. The bacteria attach to ciliated epithelial cells of nasopharynx, multiply by producing variety of toxin to cause local mucosal damage, and thereby impairs the host defense mechanism. Clinical manifestations: incubation period is 7 to 10 days. Clinical course of whooping cough is divided into three phases: cathedral phase, proximal phase, and convolution phase. Cathedral phase lasts for 1 to 2 weeks, and it is characterized by common cold like non-specific symptoms such as crozia, lacrimation, mild cough, low-grade fever, and malaise. It is highly infectious stage. In this stage, both smear and cultures are likely to be positive. Proximal phase. This stage lasts for 1 to 6 weeks. Patients are less infectious. Smear and culture may become negative. It is characterized by specific symptoms such as whooping cough and most and post to see vomiting. Each paroxysm consists of bursts of 5 to 10 repetitive violent spasmodic coughs, often within a single expiration, which ends with an audible sound of whoop. Whoop occurs due to rapid inspiration against the closed glottis at the end of paroxysms. Convolution stage comes after proximal phase. In paroxysms, which are the whoop sounds which occur due to rapid inspiration against the closed glottis at the end of paroxysms, and these paroxysms may be precipitated by the noise, eating, or physical contact. In between the paroxysms, patient may appear to normal in frequency. The frequency of paroxysms varies widely from several per hour to 5 to 10 per day. Episodes are often worse at night during spasms. There may be visible neck vein distension, bulging of eyes, tongue protrusion, and cyanosis. Weight loss may be seen, but fever is uncommon. Convolution stage. This stage lasts for 1 to 3 months and it occurs following proximal stage, during which the frequency and severity of coughing gradually decreases. Antibodies may appear in serum. So, whooping cough, a burst of 5 to 10 repetitive violent spasmodic coughs in single expiration ends with audible sound of whoop, occurs due to inspiration against the closed glottis at the end of paroxysm. So we have seen this paroxysm precipitated by noise, eating, physical contact. Frequency is 5 to 10 per day, worst at night. During spasm, there may be visible neck brain distension, bulging of eyes, tongue protrusion, cyanosis, fever is uncommon. Complications more common among infants than older children and adults. Pressure effects during violent spasm of coughing, subconjunctival hemorrhage, hernias, pneumothorax, rib fracture, and petechiae on the face and body. Pneumonia may develop, especially in old, due to secondary infection due to encapsulated bacteria. If occurs in infant, it is usually due to Bordetella persicis. Neurological complications such as convulsions, encephalopathy, and coma can also be occur. Differential diagnosis whooping cough like symptoms may be seen with Mycoplasma pneumoniae, chlamydophilia pneumoniae, adenovirus, influenza virus, reovirus. Epidemiology, mode of transmission, inhalation of droplets, exclusively human disease, no animal reservoir, source can be early case, catheter stage, and source. There is no carrier state in this particular disease. Immunization or natural infection do not provide lifelong immunity. Age affected is below 5 years. Maternal antibodies are not protective. Infants remain most vulnerable group. Worldwide incidence of disease are decreasing. Global vaccination coverage 86% in 2018. India, the reported cases are markedly declined because of launch of vaccine under universal immunization program. There is no cross protection to particular parapertussis infection. Lab diagnosis includes specimen collection, nasopharyngeal secretions are the best specimen which may obtain by nasopharyngeal aspiration, test method, or paranasal swab. Throat or sputum specimens are unacceptable. Direct smear shows gram-negative Coccobacilli pus cell. Direct detection. Diverticular pertussis may be directly detected from nasopharyngeal secretions by direct immunofluorescence test using fluorescein labeled polyclonal or monoclonal antibodies because of poor sensitivity 18 to 75% and specificity 65 to 99% is not widely used. Culture. Nasopharyngeal culture remains the gold standard method for the diagnosis. Bordetella pertussis is a strict aerobe. It grows best at 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. It's a fastidious organism. It requires spatial complex media for primary isolation such as resin and Lowe medium, bordet and GNU, glycerin, potato blood agar, glycerin, potato blood agar. Colonies are grayish white, convex with shiny surface, appears after 3 to 5 days and are described as mercury drops or bisected pearls colonies. Culture remains positive only during the first 3 weeks of infection, that is during the catheter stage mainly, where the symptoms are non-specific. Culture become negative within 5 days of starting antibiotics. Ground staining of culture reveals small ovoid cocobacilli tend to arrange in loose clumps with clear space in between, giving a thumbprint appearance. Identification can be done by automated methods such as MALDI-TOF or Vitek, detection of serum antibodies using enzyme immunoassays, using purified antigens of Bordetella pertussis, such as pertussis toxin, FHA, and Practatin are the methods of choice. Demonstration of rise of IgG antibodies in paired sera or detection of IgA or IgM antibodies provide definite diagnosis. Molecular methods such as PCR remains positive in first 4 weeks of onset of symptoms. It is being increasingly used in many laboratories, replacing culture because of increased sensitivity, specificity, and quicker result. The most common targeted genes are IS481 and the pertussis toxin promoter region genes. Other findings, lymphocytosis is the commonest amongst young children but not among adolescents. Treatment of pertussis is mainly toxin mediated. Antibiotics are less useful once the infection is established, but play a vital role to eliminate the bacteria from nasopharynx. Macrolides, drug of choice, azithromycin 5 days or erythromycin for 7 to 14 days. Cotrimoxazole alternative in macrolide resistance or allergy. Chemoprophylaxis, erythromycin, widely recommended as chemoprophylaxis for household contacts of pertussis case. Vaccine, wholesale pertussis vaccine, prepared by heating followed by clinical chemical inactivation and purification of whole Bordetella pertussis bacilli. Efficacy is good, average being 85%. DPT vaccine in India and many other countries, wholesale pertussis vaccine is given under National Immunization Program along with the diphtheria toxoid and tetanus toxoid. 3 doses of pentavalent vaccine DPT, hepatitis B influenza, Haemophilus influenzae are given 6, 10 and 14 weeks, followed by 2 boosters of DPT at 1.5 years and 5 years interval. Pertussis component act as an adjuvant and increase immunogenicity to diphtheria toxoid and tetanus toxoid. Adverse effects. Wholesale vaccine is associated with the following adverse effects such as common one includes fever, injection site pain, erythema, swelling, irritability. Uncommon one is cephalogenic is associated with the neurological complication, encephalitis, prolonged convulsions, hypotonic hyporesponsive syndrome. The estimated risk is 1 as to 1,70,000 dose administered. Contraindicated in children more than 5 to 6 years age, as any associated progressive neurological condition, children with strong family history of epilepsy, hypersensitivity to previous dose. Acellular pertussis vaccine. Acellular pertussis vaccine, it is composed of pertussis toxoid and 2 or more other bacterial components such as FHA, pertectin, or fimbriae. Though efficacy is same, wholesale vaccine is associated with the fewer side effects such as compared with the latter and can be safely given after 5 to 6 years. It is available as DAPT, recommended for older children who has missed the primary dose of DPT. Thank you so much for patiently listening. I request you to kindly follow all the questions and send back along with your roll number on my email ID. So first question is write essay on Alicia, 4 years old girl from Bhubaneswar, was brought to emergency room by her parents due to acute onset of fever, productive cough, dyspnea since last 2 days. Physical examination revealed dull note on percussion. Direct examination of the sputum revealed plenty of pus cells, gram-positive lanceolate-shaped diplococci surrounded by a hollow. So you have to write answers of clinical diagnosis of this particular condition, which is the most likely etiological agent. How you confirm the etiological agent? Laboratory, describe influence factors and pathogenesis of etiological agent. How will you manage this condition? Write note on pneumococcal vaccine, pertussis vaccine, bile solubility, octochin sensitivity test, difference between pneumococcal and viridine streptococci, clinical manifestation of pneumococcal pneumonia, the one pneumonia, hospital acquired pneumonia, community acquired pneumonia. MCQs which can be asked: pertussis toxin is produced by Bordetella pertussis, Bordetella parapertussis, B. avium, B. bronchosepsis. So the answer is A. Bordetella pertussis. Sorry, yeah, it is my mistake. It is B. It is not B, it is A. Which is highly infective stage in Pinkup? Is the answer is cathedral stage, proximal stage, convalescent stage, all of the above. Answer is A, cathedral stage. So I hope all of you have understood the topic. If not, you can contact anytime. Kindly subscribe, like the channel, and add your roll number in the comment section and send the answer of first essay, 4 questions, depending on your attendance will be marked. My email ID is prasadniranjangunjal@gmail.com. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.